What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. With today being Tuesday, we are jumping into DC Comics. The first video of the day is going to be Batman Catwoman, the Gotham War Battle Lines issue number 1. With this story picking up 8 weeks after Night Terrors. Crime in Gotham is at an all-time low, with Selina Kyle being the coordinated effort in Gotham leading the reduction in violent crime. The question now is at what cost? And then there's Batman, who is still recovering from his epic battle through the multiverse. Still recovering from the horrors of Night Terrors. But there is only one name that is running through his mind, and that is Catwoman, coming from writers Chip Zdarsky and Tini Howard. Working alongside them is also Matthew Rosenberg. And so, the 2-month Batman vs. Catwoman, the Gotham War, it all starts right here. So make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so this story, it starts us off with one of our local henchmen. He has worked for a variety of these powerful underworld criminals, from Riddler to Freeze to Pig. And in his mind, they are all the same. All of them always hoarding all the wealth for themselves. Always getting the short straw. And while he is somebody that can definitely take all of this, he doesn't think that it is fair to her, the one that he cares about. While contemplating all of this in his mind, that is when an alley cat comes up to the window. This cat carrying a message, telling the henchman that if you risk your life, you deserve the rewards, and it gives him a location of where he should be. But that's what picks us up with the Bat. From Failsafe to Red Mask, Batman hasn't stopped in weeks. And then Insomnia shows up. He turns the world into a nightmare. And though our heroes were able to escape this disaster, they were able to take down Insomnia. It came at a heavy cost for Batman. At the end of Night Terrors, we see Batman pass out. Now that comic will be the next video that we upload today. But with him passing out, he sees Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. This has been a lingering problem in the back of Batman's mind. Being Batman's failsafe identity, he knows that he should get rid of him, but he is too worried on the what-ifs. If something happens, if Batman of Zur-En-Arrh is not there to take over, Batman could die, he could lose. He is such a paranoid man that he won't allow this. That is why Batman of Zur-En-Arrh is still here. But in this slumber, Batman also sees somebody else with Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. Not sure who it is or what that might be. Obviously, there is something else brewing underneath the surface. But this is where Batman wakes up, after 8 weeks of slumber back in the Catacombs. The first person he speaks to is Oracle. She lets him know that he has been out for 8 weeks. He had passed out right after the encounter with Insomnia, but she does her best to catch him up, but also wants to mention the fact that Batman is missing a hand. And this is something that he has been keeping secret ever since he returned from fighting Red Mask. But the cat is finally out of the bag. He does brush it off as if it was nothing more than an accident. But he wastes no time, he goes in, he suits up. 8 weeks off the streets of Gotham, he knows that there is work to be done. Now he plans to take stock, to reach out to everybody. But tonight, he needs this to be out there. He needs to be on the streets. He needs to maintain the illusion of Batman, at least before the world finds out that he is only human, that the years are catching up to him. But until then, he will remind the world exactly who he is. This is where he goes to take on some jewel thieves, assuming that these are hired hands by the usual Freeze or Joker or somebody else. But as he chases these guys down, he sees that this is a real chase. And for the first time in a long time, Batman loses them. They set up a distraction. The window was all just a trick. They had gone through the vents. He knows what this is. This is a familiar scheme, a professional one, and now he is recognizing that something has changed in Gotham. This is what picks us up with Catwoman, training one of her brand new apprentices. Trying to change Gotham, she is out here pushing them away from violent crime, and really pushing them down the path of Robin Hood, to steal from the rich and give to yourself. Obviously, that's not how that goes, but that's how they are operating. But with Roland's training at least being done for today, they head back inside and we see that they have a whole operation going on here, from Marquise to Fuller. But Catwoman, she is calling everybody in, all of her head lieutenants if you will, and she is letting all of them know that Batman is awake. Now, while some of them believe that there is only one Batman and at least a dozen of them, that they shouldn't be worried, Catwoman says that most of you have never seen him up close, that it's not as simple as we have the numbers. Catwoman is putting an external training on hold. Newbies are staying inside the training compound, and word is going out to all the recent graduates to be extra careful because no score is worth your life or anybody else's. Catwoman was really hoping that they just had more time. They are finally up and running, and she's hoping that Batman can't deny that this is working, that he may have his problems, but he loves this city so much that he has to see it is changing. It is becoming something different, and she hopes something better. As she prepares for her next meeting, we pick up with Robin fighting against Maxi Zeus. As these two have their little fight, Batman comes in from the sky. He puts Zeus down, and Robin, he wastes no time going over and hugging Batman. But while these two have a really warm interaction, Batman and Robin are both learning that henchmen are in short supply these days. Batman's trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Where are all the henchmen? This is when Robin says that you may have turned off your comms, but Oracle has gotten communication. She is letting us know that Catwoman wants to sit down, masks off, and have a discussion. This is what takes us over to the Kitty Cat Club. The Bat family has been brought here today for a meeting. Batman showing up fashionably late. It doesn't take long for Selina Kyle to come in and start throwing her pitch, starting by going off and talking about how they all want to make the city a better place. And if they haven't noticed yet, violent crime is down almost 75%. This is mostly because the pool of hired help, it has been greatly diminished. And this is all because she has been training them to be elite cat burglars. That there are no more smash and grabs, no more armed robbery, no more henchmen. And she has given them rules. They're only allowed to steal from the city's wealthiest. That no score is worth your life. No violence, no confrontation. They also have to donate 15% of their gains to Gotham charities. This is why the streets are quiet. This is why the villains are floundering. And now her operation is getting big enough that she needs something from the Bat family. She needs the Bat family to leave them alone. Now, of course, Nightwing is the first to say that this isn't a solution, that you're simply changing the crime, with Tim Drake chiming in saying yes, that is true, but people aren't losing their lives. And a millionaire waking up not having as many jewels as he did the previous day, that's not that heavy of a loss, especially considering that they can write that off on insurance. Damian Wayne, of course, opposes this, but Batman, with a steady and heavy no, looking around the room saying that he can't believe what he's hearing. They have a mission. They stop crime. They do not allow some crimes simply because they appear more acceptable than others. Asking Selina, did you really think that we would just sit by and watch a crime take place? But Selina believes that if you attack my people, all you're doing is increasing the kinds of crimes that you are so desperate to stop, the violent ones. But Batman says that this is wrong, that targeting one set of people in place of another doesn't solve the problems. This is where she kinda loses it on Batman, saying that he is clearly furious because he has wasted his fortune, his brain on bat cars and punching people. But it took compassion to solve this problem. That the two of them never got married because Gotham needed a Batman. But now Gotham doesn't need him. It obviously needed Selina Kyle. This is where Batman turns his back and he goes to leave. That he wants change for this city, but not like this. The rest of the Bat family saying that they're not sure what to make of all of this. With Robin chasing after Batman, Robin tries to talk some sense into him, to try and see some kind of reason. But the way Batman sees it, he's not gonna sit in that room and try to reason with everybody. Everyone in that room is a victim of a crime. He took everybody in, helped them move past that, to help them. And now it seems that they are all deciding who gets to be the the victim. To Batman, there is nothing to debate. Picking up a little bit later that evening, we have Catwoman returning back to her place. But as she does, we see that Red Hood had followed her. He quickly learns that that was a grave mistake. With Red Hood getting kicked through a door, Catwoman is furious. She has to be left alone, and now she finds out that he was following her to her home. As the two of them start to brawl, the bodyguard of Catwoman coming into the room, the woman known as Iko, once working for the Yakuza. She helps in kicking Red Hood's butt, and once Red Hood has been put on the ground, Catwoman tells him to get out. But Red Hood is here for more than one reason, because when Batman comes, they don't need the junior bats to stay out of the way. She's gonna need them that get it to purr into his ear. She's gonna need help from the inside. And Red Hood, he is one that gets it. And so she agrees, giving him a number to contact, saying that this will be their only source of communication, that he cannot be seen around here in any way, shape, or form. And she also reiterates that there is no killing. The last thing that they need right now is an angrier Batman. Now, as we pick up with Batman later that evening, he knows that he is losing control. Control is all he ever had. Over his mind, over his body, over his city. Gotham has always been unlawful. This is why he exists. And the people who followed him into this life, he thinks maybe he's been blinded by his affection for them, thinking that all of his shared missions, that they all put on their costumes, pretended to be Nightwing or Robin. But Batman isn't pretending. This is who he is. But seeing the bat signal up, he goes to see who it is. Arriving on location, this is where he runs into Commissioner Montoya. With Batman being gone for 8 weeks, she just wanted to make sure that he was still alive, but also wanting to point out that he disappears and crime goes down. Now, Commissioner Montoya has never been a big fan of his, but right now there's a jailbreak that happened, Selina Kyle being the one to lead it. Commissioner Montoya is wanting to know if Batman knows anything about this. Batman obviously takes this very poorly. With everything already going on, and now Commissioner Montoya really just saying that the city has been better off without you, that you're not as needed as you may believe you to be. And watching all of this transpire is the Riddler. It appears that he might be thinking of joining up with Batman, of making some new friends. But as we pick up later that evening, we have Roland, who is out here doing his first robbery. The family is out of town. The alarms are disabled. He thought he was gonna get away with all of the jewels. But what he didn't know is that somebody was here. Somebody armed with a gun. We pick up a little bit later. A crime scene, GCPD, and Batman showing up on scene. There has been a death. The death of Roland. Spent his time in Blackgate. A single father making bad decisions. Everyone makes bad choices. And now this man, this father, is dead, leaving an orphan. This is what Batman fights for. The mission has been tainted. They stop crime because they are Batman. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with two individuals who are breaking into a place, trained by Catwoman. If it were not for Batman, these guys would have probably gotten away with it. But right now, Batman is on the warpath. He is like this because of what we had seen in the Gotham War Battle Lines issue. One of Catwoman's people broke into a house only to get shot dead. And with Roland dead, his son left an orphan. This sent Batman off, because Catwoman's methods aren't working like she believes so. People are still dying. Crimes are still being committed. While violent crime may be down, one death is never acceptable. And so now Batman is working to bring down the entire operation. And he has been relentless. 4 of their graduates have been picked off over the last 2 nights. And it's not just them. Fright was arrested. She said that her fear toxin didn't even faze Batman. And at one point, she could have sworn that she heard Batman laughing. After that, he hit the Iceberg Lounge. Batman has been out here and he has been getting to work. And so now Catwoman is left wondering, how do we deal with Batman? And her plan is to distract him. To do that with his biggest mistake. That's where she gives the order to call up Jason Todd. Now, as we are taken into the streets of Gotham. Batman currently taking down Jimmy Milford because Jimmy has been moving up in the world. With no more Mr. Freeze, he has been branching out on his own. But then we have the arrival of Tim Drake Robin, and Tim is asking, don't you think you're going pretty hard on this guy? By Robin's count, that is 8 of Catwoman's people that he has rounded up. Not to mention that he just went through everything with Failsafe, with Red Mask, with Insomnia. He's telling him that maybe you should take a break. But the way Batman sees it, that somebody in this city, somebody in Gotham has to do their job. Asking Robin if he is here to stop him, or if he is just gonna still sit on the fence, trying to figure out which crimes is okay to shortcut. Now, Tim tries to tell him that nothing is black and white, but the way Batman sees it, death is. You're either alive or you're not. And right now, Roland Garland is dead. His child is an orphan. Their job is to do their best to save everybody. As Batman makes his exit, he says that he has already called the police to pick up this criminal. That if Batman finds out he helped him in any way, he will arrest Tim Drake himself. This is what takes us to a conversation between Nightwing, Tim Drake, and Oracle. And Nightwing is saying that Batman is out of control, while Oracle, she thinks it's the opposite. She understands what's going on with Batman better than anybody else in this situation. Batman is doing this to be in control, after weeks of being asleep, not to mention flinging about the multiverse. And then you add Selina Kyle into the whole mess. Batman is slipping out of control. This is his way of trying to get that control back. And Tim Drake is really feeling this, especially after everything that went down with Batman. Batman is angry. He is angry at all of his children. And now Tim Drake worries about what he's going to do, how far he is willing to go. The question that they now have to ask themselves, do they just stay out of his way? And while Oracle says that she doesn't know, but if Selina does ask her for help, she will be inclined to give it. Jason Todd has been on the line the entire time saying that Selina is right, that she is out there saving lives. With every thief he stops, he's just driving them back to their old ways, driving them back to being henchmen, to violence. And so the way Jason Todd sees it, Batman is responsible for that violence, that they must stop Batman, or at the very least, stay one step ahead of him. But Nightwing tells Jason Todd that I need you to just chill, to lay low, don't do anything rash, because Nightwing is headed to Gotham to see if he can talk to Bruce about his moral ledge that he is standing on. But while the Bat family in the Gotham War is really just starting to form, it is building the foundation. All of the villains of Gotham have gotten together, because all of them have lost their henchmen. This has slowly been reverberating throughout Gotham. Now that they don't have any more lackeys to do their work for them, they see this as a problem. And so now they are banding together and they are going to figure out how to resolve this issue. Picking up a little bit later that evening, everything has been set up. Catwoman and the Bat family, they have set up an intervention, if you will. Making some alarms go off, they know that this is going to bring in Batman. They're luring him in, that way they can have a conversation with him. And so with the wall exploding, standing in the opening, we have Batman. Now Batman begins to make quick work of Selina Kyle's guys, as he is just beating the crap out of them. We have the arrival of Jason Todd, and Jason says, look at you, stopping the betterment of others, sorry I'm late. Batman saying that sometimes taking someone in and training them just leads to better criminals and murderers. Now obviously he is talking about Jason Todd being one of his biggest failures, or at least in Batman's eyes, because Jason Todd didn't follow the path of Batman. He has gone out, he has branched out and done his own thing. Batman even says in this comic that he created a mass murderer in Jason. And so how many is Selina Kyle creating? But as Jason and him continue to fight, Jason tells him that I am so sick of your grand arbiter of what is right and wrong. The fact is, you never grew up after your parents died. You have always been that 10-year-old little boy, and so you see the world as black and white. You refuse to accept that there are gray areas. This is where Batman tells him that if you think one death is fine, if it stops more death, then by this logic, I should kill you right now. This is where Tim Drake jumps in. He grabs Batman and he tells him to leave him alone. And now Batman understands that this is how it's going to be. A life of taking in people, teaching them everything that he knows. Zur-En-Arrh had created Failsafe to be really one step ahead of Batman, to stop Batman if he ever needed to be stopped. But Batman had already created his own Failsafe. He created his family. This is where we have the arrival of the rest of the Bat family. This is where things are getting turned up. Nightwing, Spoiler, Batgirl, they're all coming in. And Nightwing tells Batman that you need to take a step back. And when he says no, the fight begins. Now Batman knows that Cassie is going to be the first attack. She's never been afraid to draw first blood. He knows that he has to take her out first. And then he focuses on Duke. Duke has the powers, which means he's next. Stephanie has no eye protection. That means that he is going to blind her and do it quickly. He knows all of their moves. He taught them everything that they know. And so this means the rest of the Bat family thinks they know how Batman will operate. But they don't. Not anymore. This is where Nightwing charges in, saying that this is insane and it has to stop. And Batman raises up his hand. The mechanical hand, we see smoke come pouring out. This is something that Nightwing wasn't expecting. This gives Batman the upper hand, but only for a moment, with Nightwing getting a great uppercut on Batman. Jason Todd kicking him in the stomach, kicking him out of the building. Batman goes falling and he lands on a car. As Jason Todd comes out of that building, getting ready to lay a smackdown on Batman. Out of left field, that is where we have Damian Wayne. He comes in with a heavy punch and cracks Jason Todd right across the face, with it completely shattering his mask. He tells Jason that I almost respected you, that he does what he needs to do in order to get the job done. Today, it's just the wrong job. As the Batmobile begins to pull up, Damian telling his father that it's all gonna be okay. Batman and Damian making their getaway, with Nightwing saying that it's over, that Batman is gone. Tim recognizes that he is gone in more than one way. And now the question is, what the heck do we do? Now, as we pick up a little bit later, we pick up with Selina Kyle. She is breaking the people out that have been captured by Batman. But while she's doing this, she gets a phone call. She has learned that Batman hit Alleytown. He destroyed their home. Everyone is scattered. With her smashing her phone on the ground, she takes off. And that's where we pick up with Bruce Wayne, with him currently at the Brownstone, monitoring everything that is ongoing. Right now, Batman is tired. Deep in his bones, he can feel this. And now he has to wonder, will the Bat family come for me in my home, here in the Brownstone? He likes to think not, but then he realizes he just did that to Selina Kyle. But Damian comes in saying remarkable, that what you did sends a strong, clear message. But he also mentions how that hand is so unique, wondering what else it can do. When Damian says that he wants one, Batman says that you really don't. But does he believe him? Because now Batman understands that the hand, it makes him stronger. It makes him better. This is when they get an alert, a ding-dong at the door, and when Bruce goes to answer, he finds a Mr. White from Gotham National Bank. This guy has been trying to contact him for weeks. He is here because the finances of Bruce Wayne are in utter shambles. To finance the Brownstone, they needed collateral. They needed Wayne Manor. And now that his finances have been so poorly done, the bank has taken that collateral. They have taken Wayne Manor. And so Batman takes off, immediately heading off to the manor. Usually he has contingencies, plans to stop things like this from ever happening. But all this upheaval in his life, his finances have been the last of his concern. Now he recognizes that he must have missed something or someone. Someone manipulating behind the scenes, taking Wayne Manor as a distraction. He knows that Selina Kyle must be behind this, because someone bought the manor from the bank. Would Selina Kyle really go this far? This is where he hears the voice of Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. He tells Batman that yes, she would. But if it wasn't Selina Kyle, they need to protect their secrets. If the new owner ever found the Batcave, it would ruin everything. Now he has to wonder, do I destroy the cave? The Batman of Zur-En-Arrh saying that ruining your useless facade as Batman doesn't matter. That you need the cave. to wall off the manor from everything else. That it doesn't matter who is above sipping tea by the fire, that they can still use the cave. But he tells the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh to shut up, that he's in a cage. He is where he belongs, and his opinion does not matter in this case. This is where Batman falls down to the ground, telling himself that he's in control. But really, he's lost everything. His home, his family, his body is failing, and all he has left is the mission of being Batman. This is when we hear the clock entrance door open. Someone is here. We hear a voice, and as this individual comes down, we learn that this is Vandal Savage. He tells Batman that you are in my new home, and I presume that you are Bruce Wayne. Alright gang, so we pick up 2 weeks ago. Jason Todd beating the crap out of a henchman, throwing him out a window, breaking his arm. He is trying to get information. He wants to know where the clown is. Where is Joker? Now this henchman, Dawson, he hasn't seen the clown in about a couple years. He stopped working for him a long time ago. Red Hood telling him that he is useless then. He throws him into traffic, and before that truck hits him, that is where Catwoman's whip, it wraps around him, and she pulls him out of traffic, telling him to run along and she is going to deal with the angry boy. But the reason that Catwoman is really here is because she is about to have a meeting. She believes that she is working on something that is going to save a lot of lives, that it'll take power away from the big guys in town. She knows exactly who he is after, and if her plan works, the clown won't have anybody by his side any longer. And of course, Jason goes on to say that he can handle the clown all by himself. But she says, wouldn't it be nice if you had some friends to help you along the way? He says that he'll think about it, telling him to wear something nice, the address is in your pocket, and Daddy is probably gonna be there. And so we pick up in current day. Jason Todd has joined the ranks of Catwoman. He is training the next generation of cat burglars. And Red Hood, he doesn't agree with this necessarily. Catwoman thinks that they can be molded into something that is useful. Jason thinks that they're all pieces of crap, that there is nothing that they can be molded into that is good. He thinks that all of this is a horrible, dumb idea, but he's here to get to know them all very well. That way, when they do screw up, he can find them and kill them. With this little speech, Dawson runs off. He wants nothing to do with any of this. The two left over, Simpson and Bash, they get to training. It starts with some hand-to-hand combat. He is testing them both physically and mentally, teaching them everything that he knows when it comes to crime. And when these guys get a little training under their belt, they ask if they're ready to go toe-to-toe with Batman. Even Jason has to laugh at them, that these two couldn't even go toe-to-toe with their Wonder Twins monkey, asking how it went when he had gone toe-to-toe with Batman just last week. He tells them that it wasn't a fair fight. It was 6 of them versus Batman, and he only got his ribs cracked before Batman got bored and left. He tells them that if you have a run-in with Batman, put your head between your legs and kiss your butt goodbye. That Jason may have been taught by Batman, but Batman, he is the best that there ever will be or has been. You guys need to remember that, because we are going against the Batman now. He will be coming for all of us. So if you see him, you better run and hope that you can get away. This is what takes us to what used to be a local henchman bar. Nowadays, it's filled with bikers, with Jason sitting down with the henchmen having a drink with them. Now that they're all technically on the same team, he goes on to ask about Joker. These guys at one point in time, they worked for him. That's why he picked both of them to train. Now he wants to know, where is the clown? When they say that they don't know, he doesn't believe them. But Jason knows what henchmen do. They know what they sign up for. He doesn't want to appear the victim card. He doesn't want them playing that card in any way, shape, or form. They say that they're trying to turn their lives around, but the truth is, they're just breaking into people's homes and robbing them. When they ask why he cares about Joker so much, Jason lets them know that he killed me, and now Jason's gonna return the favor. But unable to get any information out of these guys, they are now going for their final exam. That if they're gonna be part of Catwoman's little gang, They need to prove that they are not capable of hurting anybody, even when it looks like it is the only viable option for success. He takes their weapons from them, and then he tells the bikers, the Brotherhood of Broken Bones, that these two guys right here, they have been talking crap on you, and they think that they can take you. With Jason going outside, this is where he is met up by Selena, and Selena is done with Jason's little games. That if they haven't been killed inside of there yet, they are now going out on their first missions. Jason doesn't think they're ready, but she says that it's not his call, as we see the two of them being thrown out of the bar. They're not dead, so they finally passed their final exam. As we pick up later that night, as Bash is sleeping, what comes to him in his dreams is Scarecrow. And when we pick up the next day, we see that Bash is a little bit rattled. That nightmare really got to him. But nonetheless, Catwoman sends them out on their mission, doing this burglary together. Bash feels like there is something wrong. He can feel it in his bones. And as he goes to get out of here, he hits the alarm. This is when a cop shows up right there at the door, gun drawn, telling them not to move. They have failed their first mission. Luckily for them, Red Hood is behind them, telling the cop that you should probably put your gun down, that he needs to put his gun down and just walk away. He disabled the cameras. This guy can walk away and pretend that nothing happened. He won't lose his job, nothing bad is gonna happen. That is when Bash, he hits him in the back of the head. He believes that this cop was sent by Scarecrow, and now Bash is ready to just blow this cop's head right off. That's where Red Hood has to intervene. But he does more than intervene. He starts to beat the living crap out of Bash, with Simpson pulling him off. Red Hood says to pick up your friend, clean up this mess, leave anything that you stole, and get out of here. That's when we pick up with a conversation between Red Hood and Catwoman. He is telling her that your little mission, everything you're doing, it isn't working. That those guys almost killed a cop last night. She says that it could have been worse. They could have almost killed an innocent cop. But Red Hood doesn't find this funny. Catwoman, she finds it hilarious. He came here under the false pretenses. He pretended to train these people, though he did train them. He trained them hard because no matter what, this is going to be life and death. He may have been here for his own agenda, but it doesn't change the fact that he did what she asked. And Red Hood says, what agenda? You want to talk about agendas? You have been teaching these people to break into homes, to take whatever they want, and your only safety net is the honor system. These aren't stray cats that you found in the alley. These are men who signed up to do horrible things for evil people. They worked for freaking Scarecrow, for Pig, for Joker, and now you just want to forgive them and make them cat burglars. He accepted her offer because when her plan fails, when they return to crime, better trained to be the monsters, he is going to be there to put them down. He will remember their faces. He had trained them himself, and one of them have already disappeared. Bash is gone. He's off the radar. Nobody can find him, and so Jason Todd goes looking. Breaking into Bash's apartment, he hears a noise. That noise coming from our Batgirl. Running into Steph. There is much more going on here at play than they anticipated, because Bash, his hands pinned to the wall, bleeding out, dead on the ground. Steph is letting him know that there are traces of fear toxin still present in the air. This was Scarecrow. On the wall, written in blood, it says, "Get your own toys, Red Hood." Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with Vandal Savage and Batman. Batman absolutely furious. Wondering how he is here in his house, Batman goes to swing on him, but Savage says that this is my home now, stopping Batman's punch right as it's thrown. He tells Batman that he paid for it, that in his time, he would have taken it with blood and armies. But now, all he had to do was make a few phone calls. And he tells Batman that if you raise your fist to me again, then he will have the authorities come and remove him from his home. And Batman has to ask, you're thousands of years old. You're an immortal from the Stone Age. What could you possibly want with Wayne Manor? But Batman said it himself. It has been a long time since he has made his home in such a lovely cave. As we pick up a little bit later, we have Batman standing at the grave of his mother and father. He tells them that he lost the manor, that he shared his home with others. He shared his wealth with good people, and now it is all gone. But he refuses to lose them. That his best soldiers, they can't be bought, but they can be saved. This is what picks us up with Catwoman and Marquise. Catwoman has been keeping her eyes on Batman, and she sees that Vandal Savage has returned. He's got his eyes set on Batman. Catwoman knows that Batman is coming apart. This is something that has happened before. He wants Gotham that is good instead of a Gotham that is healthy. But she's got to put this to the back of her mind. She wants to go down to the new recruits. As they have set up shop in a new place, the Duchess of Gotham begins to let them know what their next mission is gonna be. She tells all of them that what happened at the Iceberg Lounge was because of complacency. Batman may not kill you, but it is true. He will do whatever it takes to stop you. That he may think that we are at war, but this is no army. This is a thieves guild. They are all responsible for each other. This is where we have the arrival of Red Hood. Tonight the guild is teaming up and they are gonna go take on the Gala for the Arts. But they're not there to steal any art or anything of that nature. They are there to steal cars. Considering Red Hood's history, he would be one of the best to lead in this Grand Theft Auto, because he was the boy who stole the wheels right off of the Batmobile. Who better than to help teach these guys on how to do Grand Theft Auto? As we pick up with Batman, he heads off to the Riddler. The Riddler has sent out a message to the Dark Knight. The Riddler has no intention of necessarily working with Batman, but he sees what Catwoman has been doing as really a threat to all of them, to all of the underworld. Taking away all of the henchmen, this is hugely affecting the criminals of Gotham, the warlords if you will. And so the Riddler is pointing Batman just in the right direction, where Catwoman will be hitting this evening. An opportunity for Batman not only to stop Catwoman, but also for the Riddler to get back his henchmen. As we pick up at the Gala, we have Red Hood in a mask, all the valet in a mask, but they all work for Catwoman. They are all part of the Thieves Guild. As they make the preparations, Red Hood giving the guidance to all of his pupils. Once they have all left, this is where we have the arrival of Batman. Batman doesn't waste any time taking some swings at Red Hood, but Batman also tries to let him know that you are more than a criminal. This is where Red Hood, he begins to make a run for it. Red Hood is a distraction, leading him away from the scene of the crime, but he's a good distraction because it's working. Batman is not gonna lose him. He refuses to lose Red Hood to Catwoman. And so as Batman chases him down, we pick up with Catwoman inside the Gala, dressed to the nines, looking absolutely fantastic. Really, she's just keeping her eyes on everybody, on everything. While she robs them blind on the outside, on the inside, they think that they are safe. Many of the rich and powerful, they are now feeling more safe to come out into public. With violent crime being down, they think that they are much safer. What they are completely unaware of is that Catwoman's goons are on the inside, and they are being robbed of all of their jewelry and everything else in between. You see, once they all realize that their cars have been stolen, none of them are going to be focused on the jewelry that was taken this evening. But while this is ongoing, we pick up with Red Hood on his motorcycle, hightailing it away. This is when Batman grabs him off of his bike and yanks him down to the ground. Jason asking, "Do you want me dead? Like, are you freaking crazy?" Batman tells him that I never want you to die, that I won't ever let you die ever again. But he also can't watch him destroy himself. He tells Red Hood that you don't have to fight alongside me, but don't fight with me. Now Red Hood goes on to say that he has more in common with Catwoman than Batman, that he is with her because he believes in her, not in spite of him, that violent crime is way down. He believes that Batman has lost it, chasing down his own interests at the moment instead of stopping crime. But the way Batman sees it, Red Hood is his family. He could care less about them stealing some cars if it means he gets his son back. This is when Batman comes up from behind Red Hood, a needle in hand, and he injects it into the neck of Red Hood, unwilling to let Red Hood risk everything, telling him that he's always been a good soldier, but now it is time to rest. As we jump back over to the Gala and we pick up with Catwoman and Nightwing. Nightwing is looking for some neutral ground to have a conversation. This seems to be the best place to do that. Catwoman a little concerned that maybe Jason said what was going on here, but Jason didn't tell Nightwing what was happening. Nightwing knew that she would be here. This is her favorite ballad. He got to see it with her and Bruce back in the day, one of the first things that Bruce ever allowed him to tag along to. He had gotten a Shirley Temple. In that moment, he felt so grown up. She had told him that this was her favorite ballad. Now, Catwoman says that you talk like this, and it really does make her feel so stupid that they are all fighting. And this was the entire point. Nightwing is trying to make her see that none of them should be fighting. The only reason that Nightwing was even fighting Batman to begin with is because Batman was fighting Tim and Jason. Nightwing was trying to break up the fight. Batman obviously wanted to fight. Nightwing is trying to stop everybody from doing this fighting, regardless of them disagreeing on methods on how to handle Gotham. Nightwing is really trying to be the voice of reason, but with Catwoman going back inside, a man grabs hold of her and begins to dance. This man just so happens to be Vandal Savage. Savage is letting Catwoman know that you need to stay out of my way. Savage says that this city has many treasures, unlike any other. He is also trying to recruit her, saying that he needs a very powerful lieutenant, that we could bring Batman down to his knees together. But Selina has no want nor need to bring him down. She is not trying to hurt Batman. They just have a disagreement. With Selina having nothing more to say, she walks away. She tries to get in communication with Red Hood, but he is not answering. He is not answering because right now Batman has him tied up. Jason asking, "What did you do to me?" Batman says that it's nothing he's proud of, but he wanted to take Red Hood out of the fight. This is between Batman and Catwoman. He doesn't want to fight his own children. To avoid this, he will go to the extreme, even if it means drugging them and tying them up to ensure that they cannot fight him. Now, Catwoman doesn't understand that Batman is the one responsible for kidnapping Red Hood. She is so scared right now because he is missing. She is worried what Bruce would think. Bruce would never forgive her if she lost Red Hood. And so while she searches the city, we pick up with Marquise. And what we learn about her is that she is working for somebody. Though she may not be happy to do it, that somebody is her father, because her father is Vandal Savage. He calls her Scandal and lets her know that she has been embedded with Miss Kyle for so long. Certainly, she can wait just a little bit longer. So as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with a break-in. White Rabbit and her entire crew, they are hitting this place, but they are quickly interrupted with the arrival of Batman and Robin. It doesn't take long for our heroes to win the day, saving the hostages and regaining control of the Zeppelin. And so, with the day being saved, our two heroes, they head back to the Brownstone. Now, Robin hasn't actually lived in the Brownstone. This is how long him and Batman have been on the outs. But Bruce is letting him know that he has outfitted the Brownstone with state-of-the-art security. The upper levels are mostly for show, but they are fully functional living quarters. The lower levels, that's where the Bat computer, training grounds, garage, all of that stuff is. And while Damian's not saying much, Bruce is letting him know that he knows this isn't the mansion. He also knows that Damian has lived a very unusual life. The last few years, he has been dealing with a lot. To say that the last couple of years have been hard would really be an understatement. But he's letting him know that he is happy he chose to stay here with Bruce. While having this conversation, we have Damian who interrupts him, telling him that they need to get as much sleep as possible if they're gonna go out there and stop crime, saying goodnight and closing the door in his face. Bruce stands at the door and he contemplates knocking again. He contemplates having a deeper conversation with his son, but he pauses and then walks away, thinking to himself, how did Alfred ever do this? But when our heroes wake up the next morning, Damian Wayne is already downstairs and he is making breakfast, making tea just right the way Alfred had taught him. And as they begin to sip tea, Damian makes a point to say that he didn't even check it for poison. For Bruce, this is definitely some progress. But now that they are living together, Bruce really wants to lay down some ground rules. There's something specific that he wants to talk to him about. He has enrolled Damian in Gotham Heights. Tomorrow, he will be starting high school. And at first, Damian believes that this is an assignment, that there must be some target at the high school that they are focusing on. But Bruce clarifies that you're going back to school. You told me about your time on Lazarus Island, the friendship and progress that you made around kids your own age. Bruce wants him to continue this. He wants him to have some kind of teenage years. And while Damian tries to tell him that that's not what he wants, that they've been through this before, he is smarter than anyone teaching at any level. And even more, they don't have time for it. If they look at the number of active cases in Gotham, everything going on with Catwoman, there is still crime all over the city. Specifically, he did some investigating this morning, trying to figure out what the point of White Rabbit's hijacking of the Zeppelin was. That's when he came across a doctor. All the stolen technology has been related to his DNA sequencing work, with him being one of the hostages on the Zeppelin last night. This makes for a pretty obvious connection, but Bruce is telling him that our conversation about you going back to school is not over. Damian tells him that let's say it's to be continued, but as soon as night falls, they are gonna head out and they're gonna figure out what's going on, telling him no, you can't drive the Batmobile. But Robin says that there's been some changes. The two of them haven't really talked a whole lot lately. One of the most recent changes is that Robin has his own vehicle. And so as they hop into the Robin-mobile, they go to find the doctor. As they pull up, they find that they have Croc and Orca that are already here and they are kidnapping him. But it's much more than that. Fox, Man-Bat, all of these individuals are here. It doesn't take long for the fighting to begin. Batman and Robin jumping in. But while this fighting is ongoing, there appears to be somebody with a rifle on a rooftop nearby. And that barrel is focused on Batman. As Man-Bat tries to get away with the doctor, Batman goes to go in on him, that rifle being shot, but it was no bullet, as Robin continues to fight, letting Fox know that this is not the terrible trio's MO, assuming that these guys are working for goons as someone else, that they are just wearing a mask. But when Robin kicks it off, we see that there is no mask. Robin very confused, trying to figure out how this is possible. The problem is, he cannot focus on them right now, because something is going on with Batman. Batman was just hit with a small gas pellet. He breathed it in. He knows it's not poison, but it is something else. With Robin saying that they gotta get back to the Batcave and they must do it now. This is when dozens and dozens and dozens of bats begin to descend down on them. Damian saying that they are attacking, but they're not attacking Robin. These bats are attacking Batman. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up exactly where we left off. Batman getting hit with some kind of pellet, and this has turned the bats of Gotham against him. Right now, Batman is being swarmed by bats, the symbol of Gotham for so many years. That symbol is being now used as a weapon. And the person responsible for doing this, letting him know that he is no longer at the top of the food chain, and that this must happen so she can get her life back. Going for a long shot, hoping that this might work, Batman throws down a bomb. But this is a bomb of scents and fragrance. Eucalyptus, cinnamon, rosemary, and thyme. Bruce's mother used to place all of this around the mansion. This would keep the bats away. And in this instant, it does the same exact thing, putting those fragrances into a smoke bomb. Even Damian gives him props, saying that you truly are prepared for everything. But now they head back to the brownstone. They have to find Killer Croc, Orca, Man-Bat, and the terrible trio. This is what picks us up with our mysterious individual, the one that had shot the pheromones at Batman, turning the bats against him. A person in the shadows talking to her. We learn that her name is Shush. Shush had taken advantage of White Rabbit's failure and also distracted Batman. From this day forward, the symbol that Batman stole will be his enemy, at least until he finds a cure. But the voice does tell Shush that one thing was right. Killer Croc was right on the aspect that Batman will be coming for us. And if they wish to have their revenge, Shush must go tie up some loose ends before Batman and Robin do. This is what takes us to the brownstone. Damian sewing up his father, and they are really just going over all the information that they have. White Rabbit was hired to steal a Zeppelin. In that Zeppelin, there was a doctor, an expert on DNA sequencing. The technology that was stolen from the labs in Gotham points directly towards experiments merging human DNA with other elements. After seeing the terrible trio no longer wearing any mask, but they had been changed into animal hybrids. When White Rabbit had failed, someone sent in Man-Bat, Killer Croc, Orca, and the terrible trio to kidnap him. They also set a trap for Batman. They are dealing with somebody who is prepared, who is steps ahead of them. They could have killed Batman tonight. Instead, they turned the bats against him. They were sending a message. But as they go over all this information, we pick up the next day with Damian arriving at Gotham City High, thinking to himself that he has faced down literal gods. And now he's got to walk in here and be kind and courteous, or at the very least, try his best to blend in. As he walks these corridors, he cannot help but hear the whispers about him being Bruce Wayne's son, about how they are broke now. Some saying that he is weird, that he is short, wearing glasses inside. This is when one of the high school kids, they come up to him and they start to mess with him, pulling his journal out of his book. They begin to read Damian's little comic manga that he has created, The Adventures of Damian Vane. At this point, they get the opportunity to really start making fun of him, making fun of what he wrote, making fun of his accent, because it definitely doesn't sound like he is from Gotham. This is when they start to make fun of his mother, and in his mind, he thinks about just crushing every single one of them. But he stops himself. And while all of this is ongoing, we have Principal Stone who arrives. She breaks up all of this before Damian gets the opportunity to lay down some hate. As their teacher, Miss Hall, comes into the room to introduce Damian to the rest of the class, we see that Damian is gone. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared. Damian has suited up and he is back out there on the streets. He is headed for Blackgate. He is headed for White Rabbit. Now, with White Rabbit currently locked up, Damian making his way inside the facility only to run into Batman. Batman saying that he should be in school. Damian telling Batman that he should be resting. Neither of them can get away from the work. Batman making a note that Damian didn't even make it past first period, going to mention that when he was on Lazarus Island. But for Damian, Lazarus Island was different. The people there understood him. Back at the high school, it is nothing more than a popularity contest. But while they make their way through the halls of Blackgate, this is where we see that the guards are down, that they need to get White Rabbit out of here as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, we have Shush and the terrible trio. They have made it here before Batman. White Rabbit's life now hangs in the balance. It picks us up way back in time, back when Vandal Savage was nothing more than a Neanderthal. 50,000 years ago, the meteors fell from the sky. These meteors, not knowing at the time, these would be the implementation of Lazarus pits. When the meteors struck the ground, the Lazarus resin seeped into the world, but the meteors themselves, this appears to be where the true power lies. And so, with Savage doing what he does, starting to live for a very long time, we pick up in another time, prior to the death of Ra's al Ghul. With Ra's al Ghul getting out of one of the Lazarus pits, Savage has come here to use his pit, because Savage has become less than. The Lazarus is just not working like it used to. Even Ra's al Ghul knows that it won't be enough, not to bring him back to his regular brilliance. We also learned that when the Lazarus meteors were broken apart, the rocks separated across the world. In a sense, this diluted what it really was. It made it weaker, but Savage has a plan to bring these rocks all back together, and a new age of immortality stands on the precipice. This is where we hop over to present day, Gotham City, Jason, and Bruce. Now, Batman had just recently taken Red Hood hostage, and he has just stepped over a line. This is a line that is going to be very hard to come back from. Years ago, Batman created his backup personality, the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. he had also built a machine, and he has just used this machine on Jason Todd. Batman may not be able to change his personality, but he can add to it. He has added a failsafe to Jason. From this point moving forward, whenever Jason's adrenaline reaches a heightened state, whenever he's about to do something dangerous, his fear will kick in. Obviously, Jason is furious. Batman is now essentially controlling him. The way Batman sees it, he's giving him a new life. He's giving him a new identity, a place in Metropolis, an opportunity for a normal life, to fall in love, to do something meaningful. Batman is saying that this isn't punishment, but he is doing this because he loves him, that this is a gift. Going on to say that you really should be in prison for all the people that you have killed. This is me trying to save you. But it is left wondering, if this is to save Jason Todd, who is going to save Batman from himself? This is what picks us up with Nightwing and Oracle. As it stands, nobody knows what happened to Red Hood. They are suspecting that Batman did something, and all of this has Nightwing so very worried. He has never seen Batman like this. He's always been driven, always been a control freak. But as it stands right now, Batman is seeming like his whole family was just a mistake, that he should have never brought others into this fight, that he never should have trained any of them. And Oracle and the others, they definitely suspect that this is the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, that his backup personality has taken control. Nightwing doesn't know, but whether this be Bruce or Zur, he knows that they gotta stop him. You see, Batman may have created Failsafe, but he also made Nightwing who he is, gave him access to the Batbox. The Batbox being the central system, keeping it remote from the cave for safety reasons. He kept it hidden away in the place that his parents first lived together. But before Nightwing can do anything, this is where we have the arrival of Damian. Damian has been siding with his father, and he is furious. The way that Damian sees it, they have been letting criminals run this city, and now Nightwing is planning to shut down Batman, take away all access he has to all technology. And Nightwing tries to explain. He tries to tell him that Batman's not himself. He trusted Nightwing to know what to do when this happened. He gave Nightwing the keys to stop him. This doesn't stop Damian from charging in on Nightwing, with Nightwing playing defensively, trying to tell Damian to stop. As the two tussle, this is where we have the arrival of Tim Drake. Tim grabs Damian and then he grappling hooks himself outside. This gives Nightwing the opportunity to do what needs to be done. Because if Damian knows that he is here, then so does Batman. This means they are on a time crunch, with Nightwing getting access, doing the retinal scans, doing everything that he needs to do to activate the device. This is where we see Batman standing right behind him. Batman is letting Dick know that you have been abusing your access to the Batbox. But Batman does say that he plans for everything. This is something that he never expected from Nightwing. Nightwing not really wanting to hear it. Batman has kidnapped Jason Todd. Whatever your oath might be, whatever you think you are doing it wrong. But this is when they get an alert on the Batbox. Edward Nygma sending an alert. Nightwing giving it the order to play the alert. This is where the Riddler gives us a riddle. Nightwing finding it very suspicious that you would be working with the Riddler, but you have problems with us working with Catwoman. Batman trying to justify it by saying that he is just feeding me information. This is when Nightwing goes in on the Bat. He is letting Bruce know that this isn't you, that you haven't contained the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. With a heavy punch, we see Batman knock Nightwing straight to the ground, telling Nightwing that you're killing the city with compromises and excuses. Nightwing picking up his grappling hook and shooting it at the back of the head of Batman. He tells the Bat that this is not so black and white, that there are gray areas in the world and you refuse to see them. Down on the street, this is where we have Tim Drake versus Damian Wayne, as the two of them go toe-to-toe in hand-to-hand combat. Damian is saying, you know you can't beat me in hand-to-hand. You can't beat me one-on-one. And Tim knows this. So he goes ahead and he doesn't make this a fair fight, electrocuting Damian Wayne. This puts him down on the ground, giving Tim Drake the opportunity to throw cuffs on him. He apologizes to Damian, and he lets him know that I am trying to save our father. I am trying to save him from himself. This is where we see Batman kicked out of the window. With him being kicked out of the window, that is when Tim Drake goes over, he wraps Batman up. He holds him in place just for a moment. This gives Nightwing the opportunity to get back up to the Batbox. Batman tries to plead with Tim, saying that stopping me is going to get people killed. But what Tim knows is that Batman is lost. This is why he became Robin in the first place. He saw Batman dipping into darkness, going in alone while consumed with the fever, and he pleads with his father, asking, how can you not see this? But all Batman can see is criminals. As Nightwing gets back up to the Batbox, before he disconnects Bruce Wayne, he has full access. And so he wants to know, what has Batman done with Jason Todd? As he begins to get this information, down on the ground we see that Batman is getting the upper hand on Tim Drake, with Tim getting knocked in the face and knocked down to the ground. This is where Nightwing comes out. After hearing what happened to Jason, he is in a fury, diving down on Batman and punching him in the face, cracking one of his ribs. Nightwing is livid. He is furious. He has just found out that Batman kidnapped Jason Todd and infected his mind. And so Nightwing punches, and he punches. He doesn't let up. He doesn't give up. Batman trying to call his car. Nightwing telling him that the Batmobile, it is not coming. He tells him that Batman is done. He has been disconnected from everything. Nightwing almost unable to control himself. Tim Drake grabs his hand. He tells him that this is enough. Beating Batman senseless isn't going to get the answer. We all know that he needs help. So does Jason, and so does Selina. This is where Batman throws a net around the two of them, holds them in place while the police are on their way. In this moment, this is where the whisper of the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh talks to Batman. It tells him to do it. It tells him that he is holding back. With Batman getting out of here, Nightwing and Tim, neither of them having a knife, trying to break free, and the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh whispering in the ear of Batman, saying that they have done good, they have saved the city, so they won't go to prison, but they will be forced to live normal lives once their identities have been exposed. And then he will be free to be Batman. But this is when Batman throws down a batarang. He says nothing, he just disappears. Nightwing takes that batarang and he cuts himself free. This is when they rush over to Damian, because Damian was left behind, still handcuffed. And you can see the pain and sorrow on Damian's face. They are telling Damian that we are going to save him. And while Damian tries to refute this, tries to say that he doesn't need saving, he cannot help but feel hurt. Because after all of this, Batman left him behind. Damian sided with him. He was right there fighting with him. And Batman left like nothing happened. This is where Tim, he hugs his brother. And he says that we are going to help Dad. This is where we pick up with Jason Todd. The daughter of Vandal Savage has found him. She is breaking him out. And now she is letting him know the truth. She is offering him immortality, saying that her name is Scandal Savage, her father Vandal Savage, and he can unlock forever lasting life. She has watched Jason. He is better than the rest. He understands life and death. He does what needs to be done. The city is going to be raided. She wants to make sure that it is bloodless. This is where Jason reveals that he can do nothing, that Batman did something to him and now he is too scared to do anything. And she apologizes to Jason, saying that this is unfortunate. Time is of the essence, and right now, she needs warriors. Jason left there terrified. We pick up with Batman. He recognizes that things are going out of control. The Batman of Zur-En-Arrh continuing to whisper in his ear, telling him to take back control. In his mind, they are letting the Joe Chills of the world do what they want. But the worst part is that he can't reason his way out of this. He cannot fight against what he loves. He cannot fight the urge to love his children. And so now he wonders, how can I stop loving them? How can I make this easier on myself? While Batman struggles with this is where we have the arrival of Catwoman. She is letting him know that it is time that they finally have a real talk. This is where we pick up with Vandal Savage. After getting out of the Lazarus Pit all those years ago from Ra's al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul knew that that pit wasn't going to help him, that he needs all the fragments from the meteor brought back together for it really to do anything for him. But he has spent his life keeping these fragments apart. He refuses to let them be drawn together again. That kind of power would make them a target that would create a world of immortals. But when Ra's al Ghul died, that is when Scandal came looking for her father. Though he had regressed almost down to a primitive state, all the safeguards, they have fallen away. It is a brand new world. The pieces are being drawn together, and they are all drawn to the largest piece. That piece resides in Gotham City. This is why he has come here, and Catwoman has just put together an army for him. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. Now, in this video, we're going to be covering two different comics. To get us caught up on everything that is going on with the Gotham War, we are going to be covering Catwoman issue number 58 and the Gotham War Red Hood issue number 2. As we get into these two issues, what we had seen previously is Batman really at his worst. The Batman of Zur-En-Arrh has been talking in his head. It has been affecting everything and anything that he does. This includes essentially brainwashing Jason Todd. Batman has made Red Hood completely harmless. Anytime his adrenaline spikes, he can do nothing. The fear takes over. And so with Red Hood in such a vulnerable state, this is not stopping his enemies from trying to come for him. And so while Jason goes through these struggles, Catwoman makes one last attempt to try and reach Bruce, to try and stop all of this before this war boils over into something none of them can come back from. So make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we jump into Catwoman issue number 58, we are picking up with Bruce and Selina. And right now, Bruce is in such a horrible state. When Catwoman approaches him, she says that they need to talk, but she didn't realize how broken Bruce has become, collapsing into her arms. This moment of weakness, this moment of absolute emotion, it is quickly broken up. Batman putting his cowl back onto his head, going on to ask, what is it you wanted to speak about? And Selina is worried. She is worried about Bruce. She's worried about Jason. Right now, she has no idea where Jason is. She is worried that she might have to protect Jason from Bruce. So worried that she was willing to come and confront Bruce right here on this rooftop. As the two sit on the rooftop, this is where we see the explosions in the background. And after this conversation, we see that both of them, neither of them, want to be enemies. In fact, Bruce even goes on to say that this is something he couldn't handle. They may have opposing views. They may not be on the same page. But with everything going on in his life, having Selina as an enemy is something that he just can't handle right now. With an explosion on the rooftop that they are on, we see the two of them go falling from the sky. And even though they should be at war with one another, when the world blows up around them, they reach out for one another. Neither of them can deny their feelings for one another. The love of Bruce is Selina's great escape. But more than that, the city, it is on fire. They know that they need to get up and get moving. But Bruce never answered on what happened to Jason. And so with Selina asking the question again, Bruce says that he gave Jason his life back, with Batman being very vague, not giving a complete answer. This is when they get the call and they have to get moving. Selina is getting a call from Scandal. She says that Jason is accounted for and she needs to get back immediately. And as we have Catwoman returning, we pick up with Vandal Savage and his daughter Scandal. And obviously, there is a lot to discuss here. Savage stepping in and saying that he plans to give immortality to everybody in Gotham, Catwoman included. The terms of this is to have certain objects stolen. These objects that need to be stolen, they are fragments of a meteor that fell to Earth eons ago. And once all of them are together, then they can get a taste of immortality. But Catwoman is letting it be known that her people, everybody that she has trained, they are not for sale. She wants these people to be able to get by. She doesn't want them being sold out or sold to the highest bidder, that they work independently. And Savage, hearing this, knowing that Catwoman is not going to side with him, he draws out his sword. In the blink of an eye, we see him slice down Catwoman. He cuts her head clean off, with Scandal going on to say that you are an absolute idiot, because now Batman is going to come down on us. But when they turn around, they see that she is still very much alive. This is not Catwoman. This is Lady Clayface. And after hearing all of this information, she is headed directly for Catwoman, gonna let Selina in on everything that is ongoing, as Savage takes off to go to his meeting. This is what picks us up with a meeting with all the top guys in Gotham. Firefly, Black Mask, Professor Pig, the whole 9 yards. And all those explosions that we had just seen recently. The explosion that had knocked Batman and Catwoman off of that building. This is all because of Firefly. Firefly says that he did this because some of his people, some of his goons, they were operating out of those buildings. He says that this was a show of force. This is where Savage lets it be known that you guys gotta stop making trouble for yourselves. Stop focusing on the goons, on the henchmen, that these guys are unimportant to the big scheme, to the overall plan, that they need to be focusing 100% on taking down the Bat and Catwoman, that once they are dead, true chaos can reign. And then all of the henchmen will come crawling back to you. And this is what picks us up with Jason Todd, terrified, petrified of his own shadow, unable to do anything or go anywhere. Every step that he takes, all he feels is fear. And as he walks by a building that is on fire, he tries getting back to the brownstone, but he hears the screaming and the crying of a child. But even with all of this fear taking him over, he cannot help but go save this little girl, letting her know that it is okay to be scared, because he is terrified as well. And so while Jason goes to save this little girl and get her out of the fire, we pick up at Gotham Museum of Natural Science. Savage may have a whole army of thieves at his disposal now, but the best thief in the whole city, it is still Catwoman. And so she makes moves to steal all of these objects before Savage can get hold of them. While making her way on the rooftops, this is where she runs into Scandal. And at first, Scandal says that she wants to have a conversation, but she is also fully armed up. This makes Catwoman believe that this is not a conversation, and after hearing everything from Lady Clayface, Catwoman has no intention of hearing her out. The way that she sees it, immortality is on the table, but she also wants Catwoman to take the deal. The two of them having their little scuffle, but they go their separate ways. We see that this relationship, whatever it was, it is now broken. Thinking to herself that she has had way too many friends lately. One of them was going to end up being a liar, but thinking of who her real friends are, Selina shows up at the brownstone, saying that they need to set their things aside, at least for now, for the sake of the city. But she also wants to see Jason. Bruce is letting her know that Jason is not here, tracking him a few hours ago. He has somehow evaded Bruce. Both of them now worried on where Jason might be, they suit up and they go looking for him, making their way to the building that is on fire. They make their way inside and they find Jason and this little girl. Jason's still very much alive, but absolutely terrified. But they're able to get both of them to safety. Catwoman letting it be known that Vandal has his own plans. The only way that they're able to win this new war is if all three of them work together. They share everything that they know, but the streets of Gotham are about to get so much worse, because all of the big bads, they are now making a statement. And that is what will take us into the Gotham War of Red Hood, issue number 2. This story starts us off 1 week ago. We're picking up in a bar. Red Hood trying to get information, trying to figure out where is the Joker? Where is Scarecrow? He is looking for the big bads. He may have agreed to join up with Selina, but he has his own plans. This is where Selina steps in, letting Red Hood know that he needs to calm down. He needs to take a breath. They go outside, they have a conversation. Selina is letting him know that I wanted to work with you not only because it would make Batman mad, that you have a passion, You have a drive. That all of that just needs to be pointed in the right direction. But another reason she has come is because one of her people wants to have a conversation with Red Hood, one of the guys that he had trained. She's not really sure what he needs, but she says, why don't you go ask him yourself? This is where we pick up with Red Hood and Ravager, with Red Hood calling in a little bit of backup just in case. As they sit here and wait, they go over to the bushes, and that is where they see the man they are meant to meet. This is Brinks, and his eyes have been clawed out of his head. But this was self-inflicted. This is something that is seen sometimes with Scarecrow victims. But there's a message that was left on him, a clue to lead him exactly where he needs to go, a list of locations that the Joker wanted him to have. And Red Hood is deducing that Joker is using this guy to get to him. Scarecrow probably simply got in the way. And while Jason would love to focus on the Joker, right now he's going after Scarecrow. Scarecrow killed these men to send a message. This demands a response, telling Ravager to give this to Manhunter, that she is good, she'll figure out what's going on with the Joker while Jason handles the Scarecrow situation, with Red Hood telling Ravager that they will meet up in 48 hours. But after 50 hours, Jason never shows up, and now Ravager, she is very much concerned. Now we know what happens to Jason. Batman gets his hands on him, brainwashes him, makes it to where anytime Jason has adrenaline go up, his fear also rises. Ravager having nobody else to call, she calls Scandal. Scandal not even knowing how she got this number. Ravager is simply calling to make sure that Red Hood is okay. They were supposed to meet up and he never came. And Ravager is unable to reach Catwoman, with Savage telling Scandal that you're gonna go rescue Red Hood, that the boy can be very useful to them still. And so while Scandal goes to break out Red Hood, we pick up with the Joker, and he is wondering where the heck is Red Hood. He set this up perfectly, a perfect trap to bring in Red Hood, thinking to himself that maybe he should have just drawn him a map. And after hearing that Batman had captured Red Hood, this is something that the Joker cannot tolerate. The Joker had plans for Red Hood, and so what he's gonna do is go save Red Hood so that he can take care of him himself. The only problem, nobody knows where Red Hood is. This is what takes us to days later. We pick up with the big bads of Gotham. The word is that Red Hood is no longer in the captivity of Batman, that Scandal had broke him out, and that the last they had seen of him, he was barely able to form a sentence. Whatever Batman did, he broke him, with Scarecrow listening to the entirety of this conversation. We pick up with Jason Todd outside of that building where he hears a little girl screaming for help, with the building on fire. Jason runs in, absolutely terrified, but being able to overcome his fear long enough to get to this little girl. But when he gets there, that is where he starts to freeze up, doing everything he can to get her out of here. This is where we have the arrival of Scarecrow. He lets Jason know that he is going to die tonight. As he looks into the eyes of Jason, he can tell what they were saying was true. His terror is very real, but this is not the Scarecrow's making. Scarecrow's moment of triumph, and it is snatched away because of Batman, letting Jason know that he will finish this very quickly. But this is when we have the arrival of the Joker. The Joker telling him to step away. And the Scarecrow, he goes on to say that you're not even really him, are you? Speaking to the Joker, saying that he knows all about his little delusions, his megalomania. This is seen in the Joker, the man who stopped laughing, as the two of them begin to scuffle. Scarecrow telling him to shut his mouth, because Joker calling him a C-list villain. Scarecrow has gathered that making an enemy of the real Joker didn't scare him, but now he is about to face real terror. This is when the Joker pulls out a squirt gun and he sprays him right in the face. After pulling off the mask of Scarecrow, this green goo, it gets in his face and it causes Scarecrow to run. But this wasn't Joker gas that was sprayed in Scarecrow's face. In fact, it was Grundy's pee. Joker was just doing it to get Scarecrow out of here. But now it is just the two of them. And as the building begins to fall down, Joker can hear the voices of Batman and Catwoman, with a beam falling onto Jason Todd. Joker knows that this is his cue. Jason's still alive underneath there, and the Joker telling him that this is not the last time they will see one another. Alright gang, so we are picking up in downtown Gotham. We pick up with Tim Drake. In communication with Oracle, there is stuff that is going down. And what that is Batman's rogue gallery. They are out in full force. And when Tim goes in to save somebody, he is quickly taken captive. This is where we pick up with Selina and Bruce. Having Jason Todd with them, Jason is still getting used to what Batman had done to him. And even Selina is saying that you're gonna have to answer for this. But they don't have time to focus on that. The city is in danger. Vandal Savage is gathering all of these meteor fragments. These fragments making people immortal and possibly enhanced. And Batman knows that Vandal Savage and his powers are wearing off. This was all but confirmed when Savage decided that he was going to buy Wayne Manor because he had the largest piece. It was down in the Batcave. He knows that this is the source of Savage's power. This is when Jason learns that the manor had been stolen more or less by Savage. That Savage bought it outright. And Jason goes on to say that you are slipping, that Dick was right, that his little science project, the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, is truly messing his head up. Having Oracle get in communication, she is saying that Tim is missing, and there is an army of rogues downtown. By the looks of it, it looks like they raided the Batcave. Batman knows that this is a distraction, with Selina going out to try and handle her thieves. She tells Batman to assemble your Bat Army, to set your pride aside and get the city under control. And so Batman gets in communication with Oracle, saying that one of their own is in danger. The city is in danger, that he is tired of fighting each other. So many people need to be saved, that they are family, they can disagree. He'll make peace with this, because right now there is too much to do, too much time being lost. He doesn't expect them to trust him, but he trusts in his family. He tells them to go save your brother, go save Tim, and he will stop Savage. As Batman makes his exit, he leaves Jason Todd behind. He apologizes to Jason and says that one day, I hope you'll understand. This is what picks us up with Selina and Teddy. We have Teddy out here who is robbing one of these rich people's homes. She assumed that Teddy was stealing the meteorite. The truth is, he wanted nothing to do with that. He is out here simply stealing the rich's goods. While she has been trying to hunt down all of these individuals, they've been trained pretty well, so they have been able to give them the slip. This is what takes us to the Batcave. This place is completely torn apart. He has gone down here so he can try to track where Savage went. He finds tire tracks headed west from the manor. Him and Oracle having a conversation, it appears that there was a van headed towards Gotham Observatory 4 nights ago. After doing some investigation, they believe that this was Savage. And so as he heads off, we take off to downtown Gotham. The rogue gallery just laying waste to everything, putting down cops left and right. And they have Tim on display. They are calling out the Bat family. And the Bat family, they answer, with Scarecrow unleashing not only Joker toxin, but also fear gas. Everyone puts on their mask, but they now are facing against the GCPD and everybody that was infected. On top of that, they still have the rogue gallery to take down, with Nightwing charging in. We pick up at the observatory. Catwoman meeting Batman here. We have learned that a solid number of the fragments have been gathered here. When Batman had studied the fragment that he had, he noted it's got biological components and it was carrying a parasite. He believes now it is what is behind the pieces being gathered originally here at Gotham in the first place. All of them drawn together. It affects the brains of those around it. Savage has been using the telescope, and it doesn't take long for Batman to see that the fragments aren't a power source. They are a homing beacon, one for a larger meteor, one that is too large and it is coming in fast. This meteor will turn Gotham into a crater, And so the Bat and the Cat, they jump into action, with Savage giving the order to kill them and live forever. We pick back up at downtown Gotham. Nightwing fighting against Professor Pig, fighting against Black Mask, and everybody in between. On the rooftop, we have Duke, who is taking out not only Two-Face, but rescuing Tim Drake. With Tim joining the fight, this is where things change drastically, telling Duke to grab the freeze and heat guns, setting them to a wide dispersal and shooting them over the scene. This will stop the Scarecrow gas from going airborne. And then he goes to Professor Pig, pushing in and unlatching the venom. He tells Batgirl that the suit has a power exoskeleton, that there is a kill switch on the left side of the chest plate, that Firefly is using the 2.0 freeze guns. They need 3 seconds to charge between blasts. This gives Damian and Batgirl the opportunity to jump out and take him down. And holding his breath, he charges in on Scarecrow and knocks him clean out. Nightwing asking, how did you know all of this? He says that Batman wanted him to study, and so he did. Everything that entered that cave. He tells Nightwing that it was the only way to become the second best Robin. As they begin to evacuate, Batman gets on the horn and lets everybody know that there is a meteor coming. This is a level 5 emergency. They need somebody to take out that meteor. It will make landfall in minutes. It will wipe out the entire eastern seaboard. And Oracle has tried to get in contact with the Justice Leaguers, but they aren't responding. This is where Jason Todd sees the Batwing. He hops inside of it, and Batman, finding out what is going on, he tells Jason not to do this. But Jason is able to overcome all of his fear. It doesn't cause him to freeze up, though he is very much stuttering while doing this. He flies the Batwing up into the air and directly towards that meteor. He tells Batman that he is going to go and he will have to sit with the fact that he was wrong about Jason Todd. This is where we see that Batwing collide with the meteor. And while it did break up the meteor, the main piece is still falling down to the ground. It crashes right into the observatory. Batman and Catwoman both surviving the blast, but just barely. Savage and his daughter, they head down to the meteor. He tells his daughter that he should go first, that they don't know how much power it contains. As they get into a little heated argument, we see that Savage stabs his own daughter. He stabs Scandal right in the stomach and then touches the meteor. But then he quickly notices that something is different. This power is different. With some kind of huge explosion up in the air, we see that Jason Todd, he lived, parachuting down to the ground. Vandal Savage being sucked into this meteor. Catwoman jumping down to save Scandal. Barely able to hold on, Batman jumps down to save the both of them. But in the process, Catwoman falls. She falls and she disappears into the green energy. And Batman sitting at the edge of this crater looking for any sign of her. Selina Kyle is gone. This is what picks us up 2 weeks later. Dick and Bruce having a conversation. Washington and Waller, they have sealed off the entire area around this meteor. They are here to study it. It is completely broken down, creating what appears to be another Lazarus pit, thinking that maybe there's a chance Vandal and Selina survived. But as far as Bruce can see, Selina is gone. But Dick goes on to tell Bruce that he needs help between fighting the Bat family and what he did to Jason. He may have had his reasons, but he went too far. That Zur is infecting his brain. Dick has no doubts about this, that they could get to the root of all of this if he would simply let them help. But he goes on to say that it's not Zur. The voice of Zur saying it's not me. But Bruce says that he's been thinking about all of this, about the mission, about everyone who has followed him. He says that he is okay with not having happiness, but it kills his very soul that none of them will either, that they are doomed to fight all of this alone. But Dick goes on to say that this isn't your call to make, that we're not soldiers, we are people doing the right thing, and that he is wrong. Him and Babs are very happy together, but Bruce does wonder for how long. He wanted Jason to have a peaceful life, and now he feels he's not the example for him or the others to follow. He does believe that Dick was right about one thing, disconnecting him from the Batbox from the network. He can't be a part of this anymore. The next generation shouldn't follow his path. that it is just getting darker and he cannot see what is ahead, that they should follow Dick and Babs, that he does good, he gives off light. They are the parents that this family needs. It was never him and Selina. Getting in his car and taking off, he wishes them good luck. Getting back to the brownstone, seeing him suited up as Batman. Riddler has left him a message about the Joker. The Joker going on to talk about how there are 3 Jokers. And Batman says that he already knows there are 3 Jokers. Hanging up before Edward Nygma can say any more. He is not in the mood for Riddler's games. But he also knows that Nygma is not wrong. The mission has changed, that he must be more proactive, that he must find the Joker. This is when Batman sees a figure on top of a building nearby. It is Selina Kyle. When he gets up there, Selina has already gone, leaving behind a little thumb drive that says "in case of emergencies." And this is when we pick up with Teddy. Teddy is still out here being a cat burglar. On this evening, he is breaking into a house that happens to be a brownstone. As he begins to go inside and look around, knowing that this is Bruce Wayne's place. When he gets to a room, what he finds is that Bruce Wayne is in fact Batman. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Alright, so the Gotham War as a whole, I honestly did expect more from this story. It started out relatively good, but it branched away from the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, it branched away from all of their problems, all of their trouble, and apparently Batman acts like he's not going to be a part of the Bat family anymore, but he is actively working in Gotham still. Not only did he not face any consequences for his actions, we don't know if Jason was changed back, we can assume that Jason wasn't changed back. And it seems like he really has no remorse for doing it. He truly does believe that he was doing the right thing. The 3 Jokers even now more confirmed that they are here, they're existing, and Batman's gonna be hunting them down. Selina Kyle appearing to be alive, not knowing if she is now immortal with superpowers. All in all, these comics were rather inconsistent. In one moment, Batman of Zur-En-Arrh looks like he's about to take over. In the next moment, it looks like Bruce is in absolute control. It was nice to see Tim Drake getting a little bit of spotlight, but let's be honest, most of the Bat family would have known the information that he was saying. This really wasn't a Gotham War. This was more like a Gotham conflict. We expected the Bat family to really go at one another. The sides had been chosen only for a moment, but then things changed very drastically, very quickly, and it became something completely different. I really did have high hopes for this story, but at the end of the day, I just wasn't the biggest fan of what is happening. And it appears that Batman is still operating in Gotham, but somehow he's still completely disconnected from everything and everybody. Like I said, it's so heavily inconsistent, even in this comic itself. But to further this, the entire rogue gallery of Batman, they went to the cave and stole everything. Or at least Savage did. And are we going to pretend like Savage didn't tell anybody that Bruce Wayne was in fact Batman? Because let's say hypothetically Savage is the one that ransacked the cave and brought all the weapons to them. You don't think at one point he's going to be like, guess what everybody, Batman is in fact Bruce Wayne. This would have only helped Savage further in his overall end goal to bring that meteor to Earth. But regardless, the word is out. There are multitudes of people that now know Batman is Bruce Wayne. This information will spread like wildfire. So I am interested to see what happens next. It looks like they're taking Batman, taking away everything. No longer having wealth, no longer having any kind of resources really, except what he had in the brownstone. And now he is going after the 3 Jokers. So the story moving forward definitely has some interesting potential, especially considering that the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh is still there. How all of this will play out is still very much up for debate. But when it comes to the Gotham War, this is definitely a story that I would say is subpar at best. The inconsistency between the writers, the lack of understanding these characters on the fundamental level, there are so many things that are wrong with this comic. It's definitely a little event that's going to be forgotten after a couple of years. But let me know what you guys think, let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything going on with the Gotham War, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It'll get you completely caught up on everything going on with this series. If you would like to support this channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you're unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.